So, welcome dear student. My name is Ravi Pratap Rao and I have more than 5 years of teaching experience. And this teaching experience I am going to share with all of you. Today we are going to start our new subject, very nice and interesting subject, that is irrigation engineering. In irrigation engineering, first of all, we have to know that what is the syllabus and what is the weightage of irrigation engineering in our GATE examination. If we will focus on GATE examination, then we have to understand the what is the weightage of irrigation engineering our GATE examination. So first of all, we will focus on weightage of irrigation engineering and syllabus of irrigation engineering. Ye- we all know that irrigation engineering and hydrology both are considered as one subject, that is also known by water resources engineering. But for our conveniency, we divided into two subjects, that is irrigation engineering and hydrology. The first we will cover irrigation engineering, very small topics, very small subject, and by this subject we can achieve our marks in our GATE examination easily. So focus on these lectures, we will achieve numbers and understand what is the irrigation engineering easily. We can apply all these things practically in easy way if we are going to focus on these lectures. So first of all, we have to know the topics, means syllabus of irrigation engineering. First of all, that can be types and techniques of irrigation. This chapter can also be known by another name, that is that is introduction of irrigation engineering. In this chapter we will focus on what is irrigation, what are the types of irrigation and techniques of irrigation, and last point we will discuss in this chapter, that is what should be the water quality parameter for irrigation point of view. All these points will be covered in our first chapter, that is types and techniques of irrigation. After that we will start our second chapter, that is water requirements of crops. Water requirements of crops. In this chapter we will focus on, for each plant, each crops requires some amount of water for their full growth or for their full maturity. Then how much amount of water needed for any crops, all these points will be calculated in this chapter, that is water requirements of crops. This chapter is very important for any examination. If you are preparing for GATE examination, good, and if you are preparing for other examination also, then also second chapter is very important. Maximum marks is going to be asked from the second chapter, so we have to understand in proper way the second chapter. Actually, we are going to study irrigation engineering, not only going to study, but we can apply or learn the engineering of irrigation. So focus on these lectures, then we can apply anything practically in easy way. So after water requirements of crops, we will start our third chapter, that is canal irrigation system. Everything is linked, my dear students. Every chapter is linked. canal irrigation system or canal irrigation scheme. Once you calculated the water requirements of crops, then you can only design the canal irrigation system. In canal irrigation system, we will design canal irrigation scheme. Means we have to know the how the water can be transported from one source to other source. Means the main source, from the main source water should be transported from the main source to the field, and in these points there are various hydraulic structure we have to construct. All these points will cover in canal irrigation system. For example, main canal, branch canal, distributary canal, minor canal, all these points will cover in this chapter. And along with we will study about Kennedy theory, Lacy theory. Along with we will study about size and shape of channels. All these points will cover in canal irrigation system. Everything is left. First we have to calculate water requirement, then we can only design the canal irrigation system. After that we will cover some miscellaneous topics, small topics. For example seepage theory, seepage theory seepage theory, sediment transport mechanism, sediment transport mechanism, water logging, cross drainage work, all these small topics, cross drainage works and cross drainage work, river training, all these small topics will come in the fourth chapter. After this we will start our fifth chapter, and in fifth chapter we will focus on dams and spillway. So this is the syllabus of irrigation engineering. And next point, what is the weightage of irrigation engineering in our examination? So student, first of all we have to know that water resources engineering means irrigation and hydrology. If we are going to consider as one subject combined, then we can say that 5 to 6 question can be asked from combined. Combined means irrigation and hydrology in GATE examination. If we will talk about only irrigation engineering, then we can say that 2 to 3 marks can be asked from irrigation engineering in our GATE examination. Clear? All these points clear? So let's come to our first topic, first chapter, that is types and techniques of irrigation, means introduction of irrigation. So let's move to the next topic, that is first chapter types and techniques of irrigation. What is irrigation? First of all, introduction of irrigation, we have to know what is the irrigation. Listen students, every crop requires some amount of water at definite time interval for their full maturity, for their full growth. If this requirement is fulfilled by nature, then there is no need of irrigation. If this requirement of water is fulfilled by nature means through rainfall, then there is no need of irrigation. If this requirement is not going to be fulfilled by nature, means rainfall, then we have to apply the water, transport the water artificially. And this artificial application of water is known as irrigation engineering. Simple, in one line we can say that the artificial application of water for full maturity, full growth of crops is known as irrigation engineering. In simple way we can say that. For example, let's understand more widely. For example, in England, every if we are going to consider one country, that is England. In England, the need of crop is fulfilled by nature, means through rainfall. Every crop requires some amount of water, and this is fulfilled by, if this is fulfilled by nature, means rainfall, then there is no need of irrigation. So in England there is no irrigation system, there is no irrigation scheme. Why there is no irrigation scheme? Because crop requirement, water requirements for crops is fulfilled by rainfall only, then there is no need of irrigation. But in India, in our country, there is need of irrigation. Why there is no need of irrigation? Because in our country, amount of water and time of water is not appropriate for our crops. Means every crop requires a definite time interval, at particular time, water, at definite amount of water. But there is this requirement is not fulfilled by nature or rainfall, so there is need of irrigation engineering in our country, that is India. Simple. So let's write this definition of irrigation engineering. In simple way we can say that the artificial application of water, for full growth of crops or maturity, we can say that, is known as irrigation engineering, is known as irrigation or irrigation engineering. Clear? After that, what is the irrigation engineering? We have to understand some more top terms. That is, second terms is known as arid region and semi-arid region. What is arid region and what is semi-arid region? What is arid region? As the name suggests, arid region. What is arid region? That area, that region in which for inferior crops as well as superior crops there is requirement of irrigation, that area is known as arid region. Then you will understand about what is the superior crops, what is the inferior crops. Means inferior crops means weeds, some grasses which grow, that is not a required item for any crops. Weeds, grasses, all these crops is known as inferior crops. All these crops is known as inferior crops. And superior crops means wheat, rice, sugarcane, all these crops which after growing we will use it for our survival. These crops is known as superior crops. Understand what is the superior crops, what is the inferior crops? Inferior crops, by their growth, inferior crops by their growth or full maturity, there is no benefits we are going to get. So there is no benefits of inferior crops. So arid region, that region, arid region is that region or that area in which irrigation is necessary for main crops as well as for inferior crops. So write down the definition of arid region. What is arid region? The area or the region, the area or the region, the area or the region in which irrigation is necessary, the area in which irrigation is necessary, irrigation is necessary, is necessary, in which irrigation is necessary for main crops, for main crops as well as for inferior crops, for inferior crops. Inferior crops means weeds, grasses, etc. Sorry. Simple. The area in which irrigation is necessary for main crops as well as for inferior crops. That area, that region is known as arid region. For example, where all this region occurs? For example, examples, we can say Thar. We know about Thar in Rajasthan. This area comes under the arid region. Or we can say that Ladakh, this area also comes under the arid region. Simple. Next point is, what is the semi-arid region? Next point is, what is the semi-arid region? Please note down, what is the semi-arid region? So, in next slide, we will understand about what is semi-arid region. What is semi-arid region? As the name suggests, semi-arid means the area in which irrigation is necessary for main crops only. The area in which irrigation is necessary for main crops only. For inferior crops, there is no need of irrigation. They can grow by soil moisture itself. Clear? The difference between arid region and semi-arid region? The area in which irrigation is necessary for main crops only, there is no need of irrigation. There is no need of irrigation for inferior crops. Inferior crops can grow. Inferior crops can grow by soil moisture itself. Clear? For example, Bundelkhand. Bundelkhand area, which comes under UP, some part of UP and MP, Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. This area, this region comes under the semi-arid region, and some other area of Telangana also comes under the semi-arid region. Clear? So all these terms will be cleared, I hope. What is irrigation? The artificial application of water is known as irrigation engineering. Second, arid region. What is arid region? Arid region, the area in which irrigation is necessary for main crops as well as for inferior crops. Semi-arid region, the area in which irrigation is necessary for main crops and there is no need of irrigation for inferior crops. This region is known as semi-arid region. Clear, students? So after that, what is irrigation? We understand what is irrigation. We have to understand what is the advantage of irrigation. Why we are going to design irrigation scheme? Obviously there are some advantages. Then what are the advantages of irrigation? We have to understand. So in next slide we will understand what are the advantages of irrigation. All these are basics. If we are going to design canal irrigation scheme, we have to clear our basics. So now we focus on basics of irrigation engineering. What are the advantages of irrigation engineering? Tell me, what are the advantages of irrigation engineering? First point, I told you each crop requires some amount of water at definite time interval, and this is not fulfilled by rainfall. If we fulfill these requirements of water at particular time interval and in proper amount, then this crop will grow in full form, means in proper form they can grow and output will be maximum. So by irrigation we can say that by irrigation we can increase our production. So first point we can write it as increase in production, or we can say that increase in output. If we will fulfill the amount of water for any crops, then this crop will grow in full form, in proper form, then production of crops will be increased or output of crops will be increased, enhanced. Clear? First point. Second point, what are other advantages of irrigation? If we are going to irrigate that area, then production of crop will increase. If production of crop will increase, then one point also we can say that revenue is also increases. So increase in revenue, every point is interlinked. Increase in revenue. Clear, student? So every point is interlinked. Increase in production, increase in revenue. If the production of crops is increases, then revenue is also increases, then general prosperity in society is also increases. General prosperity in society is also increases. General prosperity. What is the meaning of prosperity? what is the meaning of prosperity? If you have if you have sufficient amount of money, then we will happy. So all points are interlinked. If if you are going to give the proper amount of water, production increases, money will come, means revenue increases. If money will come, society will happy and healthy, and that is prosperity, general prosperity in society. Other advantages are also there. Second, next, third point, fourth point. What is the fourth point? Fourth advantages of irrigation. What is the fourth? What can be the fourth advantage? We have to understand one point, that is mixed cropping. First of all, understand that what is the mixed cropping. As the name suggests, mixed cropping means there is an area of field, there is a field in which a farmer usually uses two to three or four, means more than two crops they grow at one time. If farmer grow more than two crops at one time, that cropping is known as mixed cropping. Means in a field there are four crops: first crop, second crop, third crop, fourth crop. Earlier I told you every crop requires different amount of water. Means first crop requires, for example, 100 centimeter of water. Second crop requires 80 centimeter of water. Third crop requires 40 centimeter of water. Fourth crop requires 50 centimeter of water. For example, this is the random value, not the actual value. So 100, 80, 40, 50. Every crop requires some amount of water. Why farmer doing this? Why they apply mixed cropping? Because they assume that if rainfall occurs, at least any one of these crops can grow, in full form, in full maturity form. At least one crop can grow, any one of these can grow in full form, so they can earn money from this crop, and this money overcome all these investment. And this is a mixed cropping, and this is the thought of any farmer. If we are going to transport the water and or give the water what they needed, then mixed cropping will be eliminated. If any farmer says that I am requiring 100 centimeter of water, if any farmer says I am requiring 100 centimeter of water, then I will say, I will give you 100 centimeter of water. Then he will say, then there is no need of mixed cropping. I will apply only one crop, and this crop requires 100 centimeter of water, and this can be achieved by irrigation. This can be irrigation scheme can be achieved. Then mixed cropping will be eliminated, and if mixed cropping will be eliminated, the productivity, the revenue will also increase. So fourth point, we can say that advantages of irrigation: if there is a proper irrigation scheme, in any state, then there is no need of mixed cropping. So in fourth point, we can say that elimination of mixed cropping. How it can be eliminated? we can understand by this point. Clear? Enjoying these lectures? Good. So next point, next advantages. Think about it. What other advantages are there? If we are preparing irrigation scheme, if we are preparing irrigation scheme, then next point we can say that generation of hydroelectricity power, generation of hydroelectricity power, hydroelectricity power. If you are preparing canal irrigation system, then also you are transporting water from one point to another point, by which we can use this water for hydroelectric power generation also. Means in less amount of money or some amount of money, we can also generate the power also. Clear? Next point, other points, we can say that increase in employment, increase in employment. And this point, I hope we all understand very easily. Increase in employment, how? In each state, in every state, there is a department of irrigation engineer, and if there is a department of irrigation engineer, also there are vacancies for different posts. And if there are vacancies for different posts, means there is employment, increase in employment. So next advantage of irrigation is increase in employment. And some other advantages are also there, some other advantages. If fifth or next sixth, no, sixth, seventh advantages. This advantage we can understand by, if we are going to design canal irrigation scheme, this is the canal, roughly this is the canal in which water is flow. This is the water, okay, this is the water. So to prevent the erosion of sides, we apply the, or we grow the trees. What is the function of these trees? What is the function of these trees? This is grow at the bank of canal. And what is the function of these trees? These trees hold the soils of beds or sides. These trees, these roots of trees holds the soils, so that erosion of soil will not occur. Means to prevent the erosion of soil at the sides or beds of the canal, we have to apply the trees. This prevent the erosion of soils. And this is a afforestation, which also reduces our environmental problems. So next advantage, we can say that afforestation. Next advantage. After that, one more thing we can understand, that if there is a canal in our village, we also see that there is a road. There is a road at the side of canal. It may be one side or both side. It depends upon the need. So by the canal or by the irrigation system, we can also say that there is a transportation or communication from one point to another point. Means canal needs the fulfill the need of transportation. Means we can go to the one from one point to another point, and this is the communication system. So it enhances the communication system. Next next advantage next advantage, ninth, we can say that there are three ways. There are three modes of transportation. What all these are? First mode of transportation, that is roadway or waterway. Second, waterway. And third, airway. There are three modes of transportation. We all can understand there is another mode, that is waterway. In this waterway, we can go from one point to another point through water. Means through canal we can transport from one point to another point, or through sea, or through river. There are many different types of waterway. So if there is a canal, means if there is need of irrigation, there is a canal. If there is a canal, then we can transport through canal from one point to another point, and this is known as navigation channel. This is navigation channel. This is navigation channel. So it also improves the navigation channel. So all these points comes under the all these point nine. There are 9 points which comes under the advantages of irrigation. Let's comes to the summary of this. What are the advantages of irrigation? If there is a requirement of irrigation, then we will apply the water at different time interval in proper way, so the production of crops will increase, then revenue will increase, then in our society everyone will be happy. Means general prosperity in society. Next point, what are other advantages of irrigation? Elimination of mixed cropping. What is the mixed cropping? If in any field there are more than two crops will grow at a particular time, then this cropping is known as mixed cropping. So if we are going to apply the water in sufficient amount, then there is no need of mixed cropping. So elimination of mixed cropping. Next advantage, generation of hydroelectricity power. Means there is a canal, then this water can also be used for generation of hydroelectric power. Next, increases in employment. And other advantages are afforestation, because we apply the forest, means trees. Next, enhances the communication system from one point to another point. Along the canal we make the roads, and this is the communication system. Or navigation channels, means waterway. Through waterway we also transport anything from one point to another point, that is known as navigation channel. Next point we are going to study, that is disadvantage of irrigation. If there is advantage of irrigation, then also there are some disadvantages of irrigation. So next point, next heading, that is disadvantages of irrigation.